Okay, this is English 101, week 13, part 4. So the next section, which is called What We Mean When We Talk About Black Joy, she says, because that's exactly what this was. Meaning in the previous paragraph ends by saying, this lady showed up to diminish my black joy. And the question is, why do people do that? Why do people do that? Because that's exactly what this was. I'm reading paragraph 8 now. Her intent and effect was to stifle and dampen my joy. What else could it have been about? Her subsequent attempts to explain got more and more confusing, nonsensical, and in some warped way, hilarious, because she's just so crazy. At one point, she devolved into a revisionist history that was easily disprovable with a scroll, meaning she's like, oh, I never said that, but you can just scroll up and see that she did, in fact, say that. Sorry, my cat is like really having fun right now. You can kind of see she's like on the ground like she wants to play. She claimed that in my original post, I said black superhero specifically. I didn't. And then she said that's what made her remember, quote, some good movies with black superheroes and merely mentioned them. Nope. To quote Bianca Del Rio, not today, Satan, not today. Also, Morpheus and Blade, not superheroes. At least stand correctly. This paragraph has some slang in it that makes it sort of a little bit difficult. The point is that the lady said she merely mentioned some good movies with black superheroes, but she didn't mention them. She was saying, oh, I guess nobody remembers Black Panther. And, like, that's not a mention, that's a complaint. Mentioning is being like Blade and the Matrix are also good. That's like a mention. But she was like, oh, I guess nobody remembers. I wouldn't call that mentioning. That's complaining. She's using them to attack the person. And of course she's claiming it's about black superheroes, which was not at all ever mentioned earlier in this thread. She's like, oh, that's what I meant the whole time. I was talking about black superheroes. Like, no, you weren't. She says, Roderick says, my kitty wants me to pay attention to her. She says, to quote Bianca Del Rio, not today, Satan, not today. This is a complicated phrase. I have a clip for you in the lecture where you can see sort of who Bianca Del Rio is and the phrase, not today, Satan. It's a complicated phrase in American history. Not today, Satan is a phrase that was, I believe, made famous by a certain kind of church-going white lady. Who, when she feels tempted by Satan, says, not today, Satan, like I'm not falling into your clutches and your trickery. And it's like, theoretically, like serious, like the world has sin in it, greed, and these kinds of serious sinful behavior, and the person is resisting, you can imagine a very serious Christian trying to resist a temptation, say, to do the wrong thing, to say the wrong thing, greed or whatever, and says, not today, Satan. And it's meant, originally, I think it was probably meant seriously, but then people started using it more like a joke. Like, you'd be like, oh, do you want a piece of cake? And the person's worried about getting fat, and they say, not today, Satan, because it's like a funny way of calling you Satan for offering them cake, which is bad for you. And it got picked up by, and again, I don't actually know the origins of the phrase. I don't know if it originates with white ladies or if it's, I really don't know the origins of it. I have no idea where it comes from. I'm just kind of, I'm kind of guessing at that. But the point is that Bianca Del Rio was a drag queen. A person of color drag queen who uses the phrase, what makes drag queens are like sort of people that dress up as overly outrageously feminine women, and you can see examples of that on the clip. They tend to be drag queens. It's overly dramatic, and so to use a phrase like "not today, Satan" is like a very dramatic way of saying you're trying to trick me. And because it's very dramatic, because it's not just that you're trying to trick me, it's that you are the author of all evil, Satan from the Bible. It's so dramatic that drag queens really like it. And so Roderick is quoting this because she's like, this Becky on my Facebook page is trying to trick me with her lies. And so she says, not today, Satan, as a jokey way of sort of talking about this person being terrible. She says, also, Morpheus and Blade, not superheroes, at least stand correctly. A stan is one of those words that if you look it up in a dictionary, you are not going to find the correct meaning for it. It is a slang term. It means a fan, like a super fan. So meaning if you're going to be a fan, you need to know your facts. Morpheus from The Matrix and Blade from the movie Blade are not superheroes. And I'm not gonna argue with her on that. So yeah, so Stan just means like if you're gonna claim to be a fan, you better know your facts. And she says that Blade is not a superhero and that Morpheus is also not a superhero. I mean, they are action stars, so it's similar, but you know, she's pointing out that like the point is this Becky lady is trying to kind of trick her into being like, oh, I didn't mean that, and she's like, yes, you did. All right, so paragraph 9. Simply put, Black joy is the unabashed enjoyment of Black culture without apology, hesitancy, or shame. Right? She's talking about just Black people enjoying other Black people. And then she gives some examples. It's Sterling K. Brown and Susan Kalichi Watson doing hashtag In My Feelings challenge on the set of This Is Us. This Is Us is a television show. And it's like a little, it's the In My Feelings challenge is just, it's two actors who are Black who are dancing a silly dance that like became a popular thing for sort of celebrities to do, and I have a clip of them doing that sort of on a news program. It's just being joyful, just dancing, just being silly and having fun. So she's giving examples of Black joy. It's doing the In My Feelings challenge on the set of This Is Us. It's photos of Black Panther's cast at this year's awards show, proudly rocking their natural hair and dark skin. It's every single post in the quote Black Boy Joy hashtag on Instagram. And you can go on Instagram and you can put that in there and you can see examples of that yourself. So she's giving examples of Black joy so you understand what she's talking about. What is it? Cool. She continues, but outside of those, this is paragraph 10. But outside of those examples, it's still very rare to see Black joy in mainstream media and other spaces. And reactions like Becky's are one of the reasons why. Our expressions of joy are not granted space to thrive. So her point is when Black people feel joyful, there's no space for it. Someone like this lady will come in and be like, oh, you forgot this, you did a bad thing, you made a mistake. Like, why are you even getting involved in this? Just let this Black person be excited about these other Black people. Why are you even getting involved in this? Our expressions of joy are not granted the space to thrive. Like, if she wants to be happy, just let her be happy. Instead, they're met with skepticism, pushback, and resistance. And at a certain point, it becomes exhausting to even be joyful. So, and the question the article is asking is why? What is at stake for this lady in showing up to like ruin a perfectly nice thing of a Black person enjoying a movie made by Black people starring Black people? Like, why are they doing it? Why would someone want Black people to be too exhausted to be joyful? Well, what was that about? So that's what the article's about. Cool. So good. This is going good. I don't think I have a ton of other things to say about this. All right, paragraph 11. Let's just keep going. There's a certain level of suspiciousness that white people have. I'm sorry, this is a quote. There's a certain level of suspiciousness that white people have when they don't get things, meaning when they don't understand things. When you see Black people enjoying something and you can't own or consume it yourself, it's like they're having all this fun without me. I have to ruin this. Says Andre Domise, a writer, pop culture commentator, and co-host of the podcast Black Tea, which covers issues that matter to Canada's Black communities. So she's got a quote. She's doing all the same things I ask you to do, right? She's got examples. She's quoting other people. She's quoting experts. She explains that he is an expert. All the stuff I want you to do. The quote is an important one that starts paragraph 11. There's a certain level of suspiciousness that white people have when they don't get things, when they don't understand it, when they're not a part of it. When you see Black people enjoying something and you can't own or consume it yourself, it's like they're having all this fun without me. I have to go ruin this. That's like an interesting sort of psychology claim about people, like about this Becky lady who comes in to like ruin a good time. My interaction with Becky clearly showed that she felt some negative feelings about my joy. Right? That's weird. Why would you say, I'm happy, and someone's like, I don't like that. Why? And a Black person talking about other Black people saying, this makes me happy. And here comes a white lady being like, I don't like that. I'm going to show up and complain. You didn't mention Blade. You didn't mention Matrix. Why did she do that? This is what this article's about. My interaction with Becky clearly showed that she felt some negative feelings about my joy. Anyway, I'll pick it up in the next video. Cool. This is going pretty good. This is easy. You can handle this. You're all going to be fine.